am here to talk a little bit today about trauma. Trauma has been described as not what happens to us, but what happens to us in the absence of an empathetic witness. That was in Personality Isn't Permanent by Benjamin Hardy. I also appreciate what Alcoholics Anonymous says. They say that we are only as sick as our secrets. And that's so true. You really need an empathetic witness, somebody who can sit with you and hear what you have to say. Man, that sucks. That's crappy. Whatever happened to you, that's no good. They don't judge you. They don't try to figure it out for you. Just somebody who can say, that's not good what happened. And it's important to get it out there. I'm going to go over my 5 most traumatic events in my life. I've sat with somebody. I've done this work. I've made graphs, written letters, gone back, rescued the child. I have a little picture of my child, myself as a younger person sitting on my desk. It's somebody I regularly talk to and apologize to, and also want to guide and help. And I also do some work where I project myself into the future and show myself it's going to be okay. Because there's always some kind of trauma that's happening to us, always some kind of event. And you can either choose to hold on to it or let it go. But the truth is that we're all impacted by things in this world. And I'm not doing this to come after anybody or, say, you should have done this, you should have done that. It is interesting, though, when I look back at things that have happened in my life, it's amazing how you see the things that I held in really have impacted me. And then a couple of things, 2 of the events that I wrote down on my chronological timeline are things that I've done. And I think we're almost more traumatized when we see that we have the capability for evil or bad within us. So it can be a difficult thing, but I kind of see that holding it in has not been good. And then the last thing that I'm dealing with, I have not held anything in. I'm dealing with it actively with a therapist, and it's been really helpful just to be able to deal with the trauma as it's happening. It's not, I don't think it's pushing me down. It's allowing me to use these events to spiral up. So without further ado, here are 5 of my most traumatic events in chronological order. The first happened around 1st grade with some sexual abuse at the hands of one of my brother's friends. And I don't think it was so much the abuse that happened, but there were some other things that happened around it. After this happened to me, I wanted to show somebody else. And so it's like I paid it forward, and it's just so disgusting and gross. I know we were just kids, and when you go to therapy and talk about this, they say, at a certain age, it's kind of normal to explore, but it felt really gross. And when I told my parents about it, they dealt with it. They made sure that I didn't associate with that kid anymore. But I know that kid associated with other kids, and I'm sure that things happened. But it was quite traumatic. I held on to that for so long. I felt so guilty about it, probably into my 30s. But it affected the way that I viewed sex and relationships. And it was just really messed up. The next thing that happened was in 3rd grade. I think I was about 8 years old, but my mom left the family. She decided to leave, and she was having a private affair with this man who was my dad's really good friend. So what was traumatic about it, though, is that I didn't understand what was going on. I came home from school. Somebody told me that there was a surprise at home, and when I got home, the surprise was that Mom had left. It was so crazy. How does that happen? And the way it happened was so dramatic. Like her and this man drove up in front of the house. Our whole family was there. Like her siblings, my dad, my sister, my 2 brothers were all there. And they, my sister was actually in the van with them. And they had my sister get out with this little bag of notes to come and give to all of us. And my brother chased the cars. They drove away. They had to speed away. It was so dramatic. And then ended up in this complete breakdown of our family. Our little Camelot world got taken down. And it was kind of like the beginning of the end. Like, Mom has carried this guilt with her for the next 30 years over all that. And it's just been, it was very traumatic to see and to not understand what was going on. The third thing is that 2 years later, my parents ended up getting a divorce. Mom came back, and then tried to work things out. But I remember I was on my paper route. My dad told me that they were getting divorced. But the whole process of that divorce was just it was so intricate. Like, Mom lived with us for a while in a house nearby, and the whole divorce process, it happened when I was 11, 12 years old, getting to know the new step families. All of it's just as bad as it sounds. Everybody was very nice and friendly, and they tried to make the best of it. But it was still a very traumatic event, and it affected the way that I viewed people, the way that I viewed relationships. I see my choice in marriage mate and my thoughts going into marriage, who I was, what I thought was okay, really messed up from all that. I don't blame anybody. Obviously, I could have gotten help. I could have sought out the empathetic witness, could have made different decisions myself, but very, very traumatic. The fourth event that happened was, I had around 12 years old when all this was going on. I developed this addiction to pornography, and I'm so thankful that the internet wasn't a big thing back then. I mean, it took a long time to download stuff, and it was just a couple of magazines, but I developed this addiction to it, and I kept it very private. I didn't tell anybody again until I was about 30 years old, 33 years old. But when I came out with it, I had violated so much trust. My mate had no idea. I was serving in a position within the congregation, very respected. A lot of people trusted me, and I completely just broke that trust. It's all of a sudden, Aaron's over here. And at the same time, there was these stressful events happening in our lives. We had 3 deaths in my wife's family. We were flying back and forth. We were moved to a new area to help them. And I was starting to have this micro affair with somebody within the congregation. It was, the whole thing just sucked, and I did it. I did it to myself in so many ways, but it was so traumatic to have it all come out. And when it came out, it moves me to the fourth event, or the fifth event, sorry, and that is, I thought that I had so much relief when everything came out, right? Everything's off my chest. I feel so good. If you've ever held a secret and then you get it off your chest, it's amazing. And I'm good with God again. I feel wonderful with that relationship. Everything is just perfect. I'm so happy. I absolutely destroyed my wife. She was so sad. She had all these deaths she was dealing with. One of them was a suicide. And then she finds out her husband's having this, secret affair. It didn't get sexual. It wasn't full-blown affair, but I know cheating's cheating. So it just devastated her. And she had like a breakdown. And we couldn't have a sane conversation for a long time, probably 5 years of just her yelling at me, swearing, putting me down. We were going to therapy, tried to work it out, apologies, letters, everything you can do to try to fix a relationship. And it was devastating. I mean, to have somebody look at you who you're trying to work with and trying to repair a relationship with, and tell you over and over that they hate you and they wish you'd never been born, and the verbal abuse that came from all this, the mental illness that I heaped upon her. And if you don't understand about mental illness, I don't expect you to get any of this. I don't care really what you think, honestly. That's why I don't care. I don't mind sharing this. I'm the one going through this. I'm dealing with it with the help of professionals. We are working through all of this. I'm applying as many Bible principles as I can. And really, it's my life. But the point is that trauma happens. These crappy situations happen to us. And sometimes we are the cause of these crappy situations. Sometimes we traumatize others. Other people traumatize us. But this in no way means that we should stop being trusting, stop living. It takes courage. It takes courage that God is going to take care of you, that you're going to be okay, that who you are is enough, that you can have personal integrity. if you've never had to really forgive somebody, then you don't know what it's like. And that's what I love about trauma and suffering. Not that you would ever go out and intentionally cause suffering, or you would never intentionally choose suffering. None of us would. But when suffering inevitably comes upon us, when trauma inevitably happens to us, that is a time to prove who you really are. You get an opportunity to do something, to be something that you otherwise would not have been. And that's what I found through my trauma. I have grown in ways. I am not critical. I am not judgmental. I am finding my purpose and my calling through helping others to get out of it, to be that empathetic witness, to teach others how to sit in the crap of life with other humans, how to excel, how to just listen, how to maintain your own self-worth. There's so much to it, but I'm thankful for each of these traumatic events. I don't hold any grudges. I know that whoever has made these mistakes feels terrible about them. It's stuff we all have to live with. The stuff that we do. There's a book called The Things They Carried by Dan Brown, and he talks about the events that people did during war. You know, you have to live with it, and it's possible to move through it. It's not who you are. And there's another author that I love who talks about how sometimes we treat our pets better than the way we treat ourselves, because some of us have lost that self-respect because of traumatic events. But don't let it hold you down. It's okay. I'm happy. I've done some terrible crap, and I've had terrible crap done to me, and I'm so happy and thankful and glad to be alive and ready to jump in the arena and help others. That's it.